But before Scott gets away, I'm going to have to raise this, sorry. I've got a couple of comments I'd like to make specifically to Scott. So Beth and John, if you would grab that item and come on up here on stage with us. So when we started the whole conversation about the potential combination of the three organizations Scott just mentioned, the idea came about many years ago. The idea got legs just 5 years ago, and as the idea gave way to momentum gave way to plans gave way to decisions. One of the key decisions was how do we go about combining the three organizations at the top of the house and who's going to lead it. At that moment, when we first entered that call, Scott showed his core and the general thought that the needs of all of Mississippi and the needs of all of the combined organizations outweighed his own. He voluntarily offered to step aside as CEO and give John McKay the opportunity to run the combined organization, given that John has a little longer runway than Scott or me. And so that selflessness and that degree of honorable decision making is really on display today as we transition over to the MSBA here in just a few weeks. In advance and in front of all the members of MEC who are here today and folks who joined it, we wanted to present Scott with a resolution highlighting the many accomplishments that happened in his decade or so of leading MEC, with the pinnacle being not only this combination, but doing the combination right after the MEC was recognized as the best state chamber out of all 50 state chambers in the country just a few years ago. So Scott, I wanted to present this to you and get a picture. Why don't you let the attractive people stay in here? John, stay in there. That's right. I look like Shrek in that picture. You guys go ahead and take it. There you go. Scott, thank you so much for your service as CEO of this organization. You have accomplished much in your tenure. Okay. Wait, Scott, I'm not done yet. I'm not quite done yet. Wait, Scott, don't leave. I got more. I got more. I'm not even close to done. That's right. So Scott and his sweet wife Kim have a son, Shane, who lives with his family in Washington. And so anytime I'm asking Scott, where are you going to spend insert holiday here? He says, I'm going to Washington to see my boy. And so they go spend time together. I think every Thanksgiving you do that. And so they enjoy traveling, but just given the amount of days that the day job gets in the way, they have very little time to go see the rest of the country. But one thing I knew that was important on their list was to eventually see the West Coast. Never had a chance to do that. So the operating board has elected to send you and Kim on a trip. You will be going to the Half Moon Bay Ritz-Carlton, which is just south of San Francisco. You'll have a room with a fire pit overlooking the Pacific, very close to a stellar bourbon bar that I'm very fond of. Okay. And we can't set you up any better of a romantic weekend than that, Scott. The rest is on you. All right. So if you need help, there's a Louis Vuitton store 38 miles away. That's right. That's right. But Scott, we wanted to do that as a very personal note to thank you for not only your leadership, but also the personal sacrifices that you and your wife, who loaned you to us so many nights and weekends through the past, that we can just say thank you and how much we love and care about you. So congratulations on your trip. Thank you. Thanks to my fellow operating board members for passing the hat. Okay, so we're going to get to business, and as Scott mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about MSBA and what our priorities are. I really hate sticking to a script, but on this particular time, I'm going to stay rigidly to it because we're recording this presentation for the future. It's been, MEC has been around for 77 years, MMA for a little over 70 years, BIPAC, hard to believe it's been over 40 years since that first founding meeting all those years ago, Derek. But here we are combining these organizations. And so I'm honored to be the last chairman of MEC, and I'm honored to be the first chairman of MSBA. Something that Leo Seal told me over 35 years ago, one day, boy, if we could ever get these organizations together, what a powerful voice for business and for Mississippi it would be, and now here we are. So the council, the MBA, the MMA, and BIPEC all forming together, we've been very fortunate to be able to retain all three leaders. John will lead it as Chief Executive Officer. Scott will run the foundations and devote all of his time to the workforce topic that you heard amplified just a little while ago. Derek Beasley will stay on and run the political advocacy and accountability functions. And we have all the names of the councils and all that you'll hear about in the future. But each of these organizations has contributed something quite vital over the decades of service that they've seen while they were envisioned by business leaders in the past. MEC brought vision and leadership. MMA brought focus and industry expertise to our highest paying sector and one of the largest employment opportunities we have moving forward. BIPEC brought political influence and accountability. Together, they've helped build the foundation for every major economic success that you've heard about discussed today. The world around us is changing, and it continues to change, and even faster than it has before. Just think, just 20 years ago, we didn't know what an iPhone was. And so everything has changed so dramatically that with the issues facing us today, we really don't have these issues confined to just one industry, and therefore we need the one very strong, very muscular, and very well-funded voice. So whether you're a manufacturer, or you work in the finance industry or professional services, whether you run a small business, but it's a really big business, an important business to you and your family, or whether you're a tech company building out something wonderful in our state, we all share the same challenges. We're attracting talent, we're trying to grow our investments, we're ensuring that Mississippi remains competitive, and after probably the best decade of investment we've ever had, it's very important that the next decade makes the previous decade very pale compared to that sort of success in the future. So we're taking a very big and momentous step today because it's time to meet all those emerging and changing challenges with one voice. So the creation of the Mississippi Business Alliance, or MSBA, you'll see that on the new brand moving forward, is not simply a merger. It's really a transformation of how we operate and sponsor the business community moving forward. It's the uniting of our collective strengths into one clear and very decisive force for progress into the future, for the benefit of our grandchildren and those that come after them. We've heard repeatedly from business leaders across the state, from the Delta to the coast, that Mississippi needed a single, authoritative, and common voice for business. Policymakers were asking for clarity when it comes to legislative priorities. Business owners were asking for alignment of our policies, and our members were asking to become more impactful. The Mississippi Business Alliance and how it's structured answers all of those requests. Through this new organization, we will elevate our collective influence, amplify our advocacy, and ensure that the Mississippi business community speaks and is heard with one very powerful and strong message that business will drive the future economic position of our state. So the three pillars of the Mississippi Business Alliance flows in this manner. The first is policy advocacy. Our goal is to strengthen the business environment by advancing smart, meaningful, and forward-thinking policies, the kind that grow jobs, attract investment, and cut out red tape. Advocacy isn't just about having a seat at the table. It's about being a respected, informed, fact-based voice that policymakers can rely on for good counsel and guidance. We'll be deliberate. We will be well-resourced. We'll maintain benchmarks that help us find fact-driven data. We'll invest in communications. We'll invest in further lobbying capacity. We will ensure that we're always prepared to lead from the front and not simply react from the sidelines. This is an approach that leads to functional and workable solutions. So the second priority, first is policy advocacy. The second will be transforming Mississippi's future. The Alliance will drive the state's economic competitiveness, not just for today, but for the next generation and those that follow. We will work to drive the state's competitiveness. And when I say in the future, I don't mean a decade or two. I mean for the next 50 or 100 years. The things that were envisioned 20 years ago in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, I never would have dreamed we could have made as much progress as we have made. And it gives me hope and confidence that the difference we can make over the next century can take Mississippi permanently back to the top of the economic heap versus where we were just 70 or 80 years ago. We'll work to strengthen our workforce and education systems. We'll champion reforms that make Mississippi a destination for talent, not an exporter of talent, and support strategic initiatives that focus on overall economic growth. Working with key public and private sector partners contribute to a larger goal, and that's creating opportunity and prosperity in every corner of our state. Finally, I get to the third pillar, elections and political accountability. We've heard a number of speakers today talk about the importance of voting, the importance of advocating a position. A lot of credit was given to voters. I think a lot of credit goes to the elected officials too, but holding them accountable for following through with the things we agree to focus on when we have the elections is something that's important and requires year-in and year-long focus. The MSBA will build on the BIPEC legacy of political engagement to ensure that our leaders at every level of political leadership understand and support the role that business plays in everyday environment. This means recruiting and supporting candidates, let me say that again, recruiting and supporting candidates who champion free enterprise and capitalism and holding policymakers accountable for getting results done. Together, these three pillars will ensure that the Mississippi Business Alliance doesn't just talk about change, we make it happen. But there's also something more powerful behind this effort, something that goes beyond strategy and structure, and that's setting vision. The Alliance will serve as the North Star for business in Mississippi, the trusted leader that connects the dots between the workforce, economic development, all our various economic sectors, and policy. Our job is to illuminate the possibilities before us, to identify the pitfalls and risks, and make sure that we're all moving collectively in the same direction at the same time. We'll do that by strengthening relationships between business leaders and lawmakers, between educators and employers, and between communities and opportunity. And I think today we've heard a lot of our elected leaders say those very things. So I think we're very much in line with the vision of those people currently and hopefully in the future in office. Because at its heart, the organization isn't just about the advocacy of policies, it's about connecting the various policies together to get meaningful results. When the private and the public sectors work together, as we've evidenced the last 20 years, great things begin to happen. When they work separately, progress stalls and we blame each other for a lack of progress. MSBA is meant to make sure that we move forward successfully together. So today, as we look towards January 2026, and beyond, let this moment today, as we announce MSBA's three pillars, mark the start of a new era for Mississippi business and economics, one that honors our past and our roots, but also is fully focused, rapidly so, on our future. We are building an organization that we believe will lead with integrity and with facts and honor and speak with authority, and we will act with impact. If we can't get impact, it's not worth the time and focus to get it done. It's my privilege to serve as the first chair of the MS Business Alliance. I couldn't be more happy to see the dreams of all these years come together and to play a small part.